An officer participated in the arrest of El Chapo's son and didn't live enough to regret it. Well, imagine residing in a city under the control of a drug cartel. Fear-filled streets with violence are waiting at every corner. The world's deadliest drug cartel, the Sinaloa cartel. The notorious drug boss, El Chapo's Sinaloa cartel, remains till today one of the deadliest drug cartels in the world. 2019 was a dangerous year for one of the cities of Mexico, Sinaloa, an operation called Calicanosa. This operation was launched by the Mexican authorities to arrest Ovidio Guzman, the son of the drug lord El Chapo. Unfortunately, this intervention would be known for a terrible mistake that unleashed terror in the streets and would leave one of the police officers who participated in the operation massacred in cold blood. Let's recall the background of this whole situation so you have a clear image of what happened. El Chapo was the boss behind the Sinaloa cartel, the deadliest drug organization in the world. After the final and successful arrest of El Chapo in 2016, his extradition to the U.S. and his life sentence plus 30 years behind Colorado's Supermax prison, his long-term best friend, Ismael Zambada Garcia, aka El Mayo, and his son, Ovidio Guzman, took over the head of the Sinaloa drug empire. When Ovidio took control of this cartel, violence, kidnapping, mass shootings, and killings radically took another turn, even worse than when his father was in charge. Many people believe it's because of his young age. He fixes every issue with violence and doesn't opt for a pacific resolution. He didn't manage the cartel as his father did, and at some point was not listening to El Mayo's advices. You are probably thinking that this behavior will not last and will not remain without consequences, and you are right. Ovidio was never the Mexican authorities' target after the arrest of his father. They were targeting El Mayo, El Chapo's long-term friend, but his attitude put the spotlight on him. The DEA and the Mexican authorities leaned on him and made him the second public enemy after the CJNG boss, or the ghost, El Mencho. Ovidio Guzman Lopez was charged by a grand jury in Washington in 2018 on cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana trafficking allegations. To catch him, 30 men of the National Guard, militarized police, and the Army carried out a raid. On October 17, 2019, a big convoy of cars arrived at Ovidio's residence in Culiacan, Sinaloa, based on an extradition warrant issued by a U.S. judge, which subsequently came under fire. The military went to capture him, but they quickly found themselves encircled by cartel killers and would all be disappointed very soon by the cartel's next move. The operation took a devastating turn. The strategy originally planned to have 4 groups of soldiers monitoring the streets surrounding Guzman's compound, but they faced unexpected obstacles. Only one group arrived at the compound, while the 3 other groups were heavily attacked on their way by the Sinaloa cartel's hitmen. At least 700 Sinaloa cartel gunmen began attacking innocent civilians, government officials, and military around the whole city of Sinaloa, with gigantic smoke towers rising from burned vehicles and trucks, with makeshift armored trucks, bulletproof vests, 50 caliber or 12.7 millimeter weapons, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and heavy machine guns. The cartel were well equipped. Their reaction surprised the Mexican authorities. They were ready for the attack like they knew the police were coming to get their boss. Hundreds of hitmen captured more than 20 Mexican soldiers as hostages, attacked buildings where military families lived, and other youths freed 50 prisoners who were in the Aguarto prison, some of them members of the cartel. The operation would unleash a violent reaction from the Sinaloa cartel that the Mexican government could not handle, not because they were weak, but because they had to protect civilians and innocent people. The federal government security cabinet received a report that the cartel was planning other attacks in cities in Durango, Sonora, and Chihuahua. Another report indicated their intention to shoot more civilians. The Sinaloa cartel was ready to burn down the whole country. The level of response from the Sinaloa cartel was unpredictable and forced the government of President Manuel López Obrador to make a harsh decision. The streets of Culiacan turned into a battleground as hundreds of cartel members unleashed terror. The once peaceful neighborhood now resembled a war zone. President Andres Manuel López Obrador defended the decision to release Ovidio Guzman, claiming it would save lives, and he wanted to pacify the country to avoid more massacres. He also said that the capture of one drug lord could not be more valuable than the lives of innocent civilians. The operation was canceled, the withdrawal of troops, and Ovidio Guzman Lopez was released. Guzman Lopez was eventually freed without even being taken into custody or interrogated. While recognizing that the security forces misjudged the cartel's manpower and capacity to respond, López Obrador also stated that the criminal investigation against Ovidio was ongoing, deploying 8,000 army and police reinforcements to Culiacán to restore peace. Security Minister Alfonso Durazo said the decision was taken to retreat from the house without Guzman to try to avoid more violence in the area and preserve the lives of our personnel and recover calm in the city. Mexico's president, Mr. Obrador, added that the decision to free the drug baron's son was the right thing to do. After Ovidio was released, peace automatically returned to the city, and the cartel members also freed the hostages. You are surely asking yourself, in which condition was this officer tragically murdered? You'll find out soon. After the carnage, only 3 weeks later, Mexican police officer Eduardo N. became a victim of the extreme cartel violence he was once fighting against. This police officer is a member of Sinaloa's State Preventive Police and was tragically assassinated. Police identified him as Eduardo Triana Sandoval, 32 years old, who joined the force 6 years prior to Ovidio's unsuccessful arrest. The CCTV footage from the incident was posted by the Mexican newspaper Excelsior. Yes, you hear me right. Everything was captured on camera in broad daylight. The cartel hitmen didn't care about the camera because the whole city of Sinaloa belongs to them, as the cartel's name indicates. The Mexican daily Excelsior published CCTV footage from the attack, which showed the police officer parking his white Nissan four-door sedan outside a shopping center. A red truck pulled up next to the officer's vehicle outside the shopping center. Moments later, 2 armed gunmen got out from the red car and started shooting wildly from close range. The officer was then brutally gunned down in broad daylight, with everything being captured in the shopping center's surveillance camera. The ambush lasted less than 30 seconds, and the hitmen fired 155 shots at the white vehicle. The officer died at the scene. It is unclear if the police officer was on duty at the time of the attack, although he reportedly had a gun with him but could not deal with this horrific attack because of the quick and surprising action of the hitmen. The brutal attack happened in the Las Moras neighborhood in Culiacán, Sinaloa, a notorious city for gang and drug-related violence. Forensics came to the scene shortly after the attack and found 155 bullets on the ground. According to officials, the officer had been assigned to guard Undersecretary of Public Safety Carlos Alberto Hernandez Leyva. The Secretary of Public Safety of Sinaloa stated that Eduardo was not directly engaged in the unsuccessful arrest of Guzman Lopez in 2019, but was part of a larger anti-drug security force monitoring the region to take the Sinaloa cartel down. On October 17th, the botched arrest attempt of Ovidio sent shockwaves to the city of Culiacán. Roads were closed, vehicles were burned, and many victims suffered from the violent battle between cartel gunmen and Mexican forces. Unfortunately, the release of Ovidio in 2019, following the intense fighting, has sparked debate and criticism. Mexico's President Obrador has maintained his hugs not bullets policy, emphasizing the need to respond to violence with goodness. While President Obrador's approach aims to protect lives and promote peace, it has faced increasing scrutiny in the face of escalating cartel violence. The recent tragic deaths of 9 Americans in Sonora State have reignited the debate surrounding Mexico's strategy to combat organized crime. We want to remind you that that after this incident and years later, Guzman Lopez was successfully caught by Mexican police on the 5th of January 2023, following another operation in Caldican, and taken to the Altiplano High Security Federal Prison in Almoloya de Juarez and is currently waiting for his extradition to the U.S. It looks like this time he is not getting out. But Mexico is still struggling with cartel violence, with the country on track to record over 32,000 murders this year alone. The brazen assassination of Officer Eduardo N. is a stark reminder of the dangers faced by law enforcement officials in their fight against organized crime. As we mourn the loss of the officer and countless others who have sacrificed their lives in the line of duty, let us not forget the tireless efforts of law enforcement in their mission to create a safer Mexico. It is crucial that we stand united against the forces of violence and advocate for lasting change. We are sending our deepest condolences to the officers' relatives for their loss. Today's question is simple. If you were Mexico's president, would you call off the operation to release Oviedo as President Obrador did? We will love to discuss this with you in the comment section. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.